Imbolc falls between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And although I don't celebrate all of the historic and traditional ceremonies that can go along with this day or season, I do like the way working with the Wheel of Seasons gives me these check-in points. So here we are at that liminal space between winter and spring. I've decided to go down here and take a walk and visit Grandfather Oak. Grandfather Oak was the first tree that I met when I moved out here to the country. And looking at my Sacred Actions book, I learned that the ancient Celtic word for druid meant oak knowledge or deep knowledge. And it suggests that this is a good time of year for knowing your habitat, your ecology, what's going on around you, how you're living close to the land. And it focuses on reskilling. What are you going to teach yourself and learn? So even though it's still very cold out, spring is coming. And one of the things that I love to do at this time of year is go bud spotting. It's hard to believe, but the trees are already pushing their magical energy up and out for new growth. And what it requires is slowing down and noticing, taking the time to really see what is going on around you and how life is getting ready to bloom. Here we have some wild rose, and if you look closely, you can see where the buds are starting to come out. This here is a berry cane. It's either red or black wild raspberries. And if you look closely, I think I can see buds on these branches as well. Here we have a conifer. It's a pine. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it might be a spruce. I mean, it's a conifer. But those are buds. I see the buds right there. And this is my favorite flower. These are lilacs. And look, they're getting ready to bud. Another thing I like to do at this time of year is make potato leek soup. The first thing we're going to do is clean these leeks. We have to cut them just above where they start to turn dark green. Leeks have a lot of sand in them sometimes, so you have to be prepared to get all of that sand out from between the layers. Once they're all trimmed, we'll save the tops and freeze them for making broth later on. That's a way to be zero wasty. I decided on making this dish because of some of the traditions associated with Imbolc that relate to lamb season. So Imbolc may mean milk. Use milk in particular because it's the time of year when the lambs are in the belly and they're about to be born, and their moms have milk. And so milk is often a part of the way this nature-based holiday is celebrated. And this particular recipe uses cream. You can make it vegan or vegetarian, but I am going with cream. It's such a rich and delicious soup for how easy it is to prepare. And I was quite impressed with myself when I learned how to make this. So now we're going to get that sand out of there. We're going to slice these into smaller portions so they're easy to separate once they get into some cold water. I usually do at least 2 rinses of water just to be sure I have all the sand out. I'm going to try to grow leeks this year. That's one of the ways I focus in on making sacred living practical, is to really clue in to the things that I use most often and try to figure out a lighter or less impactful, environmentally conscious way to do that thing. So I like leeks. I should be trying to grow leeks. Leeks float and the sand drops to the bottom. Then we'll strain them. And we're going to saute these in some olive oil. And you want to saute them for quite a long time, about 30 to 40 minutes over really low heat, until they turn really soft and begin to really break down. As those are sauteing, I'm going to go on and prepare some russet potatoes. I'm just going to cut them up into cubes, and that way they will be ready to add to the pot afterward. And I will put the recipe below that I used to make this delicious soup. Yes, spring cleaning is definitely a thing to do in celebration and preparation for the coming spring. But I'm actually clearing my workspace so that I can do another thing for Imbolc, which is crafts, nature-based crafts, making something that symbolizes the coming spring months, making it with my own hands. I'm really looking forward to trying this out. The wreath in the picture, I made it in January when I gathered some loose kiwi branches from outside. I have a hardy kiwi growing outside. And these are some orange slices that I dried in the oven. And I picked up some plants that would dry well, like the eucalyptus and these interesting yellow flowers, and decided to make a Imbolc wreath. That's the bow I made. I have a whole DIY tutorial coming on the Patreon for this particular craft. So you will see step by step how it was created. And if you're not a member of Patreon, I hope you'll join us over there on the channel. We are having a good time creating this sacred living community, and these are some of the things that we will make. Okay, all that crafting and carrying on has me hungry. It's time for lunch. Now, all I'm taking here is a spring mix and some arugula salad. This is another area that I want to practice reskilling. It is easy, supposedly, to grow salad greens, so I'm really focused on liberating myself in that way. I'm going to dress them with a simple olive oil, sea salt, and lemon dressing. That is my favorite. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you know that's really the only salad dressing I use most of the time. We're going to make this a beautiful presentation because we're worth it. And this is a wonderful sacred ritual, the art of eating and enjoyment. So I have some cucumbers here. I succumbed to a hothouse tomato. Sadly, it was not as flavorful as it promised by how it looked, but it definitely reminded me of summertime, and I can't wait to get those homegrown tomatoes. Woo. All right. I have some garlic mushrooms, some Kalamata olives, and some feta cheese that I bought from the deli. And it was in like a marinade. So I figured that would be really good to put on top. Because our soup is so rich and creamy, I thought having something with a little bit more of an acid to cut through that creaminess would be a nice balance. So I'm just adding this on top of our greens here. And we're not going to waste anything. We'll put that right over there, add it to the dressing. Right? Now we're going to get to our soup. Like I said, I have to post the how-to because you do require a blender when making this soup. Once your potatoes and leeks have cooked down in a vegetable broth, you puree them in the blender. So that's what we've done here to get this silky, smooth, but still hearty, comforting. Oh, this soup warms your rib cage all the way down to your tummy. I thought rosemary would be a good complement to this, and instead of putting the croutons on the salad, I decided to put them in the soup. Again, thinking textures, the creaminess with the crunchiness of the croutons. Also, once they soak up that lovely soup, this is how we do that. This would be an easy meal, a quick fancy meal for you to serve to anyone, but a whole lunch or guests, but serve it to yourself. Serve it to yourself. Another nice activity to help you prepare for the coming spring, but handle still being in that cold transitional phase from winter is planning. Seeing what's going to be on the horizon line, reflecting on the year before a little bit, and deciding what you want to do with this upcoming season or the whole year. This is my garden journal, and I recorded how my grandkids came over and we planted garlic, and at least that is already in the ground, although I think we planted it upside down, but that's okay. So I took some time during the Imbolc season to concentrate on my 2023 garden goals and thinking about what I want to grow, thinking about what I've learned I've learned a lot over the past several years, what to do, what not to do, and I'm going to try to incorporate those learnings into my garden planning for the coming year. I have also been very grateful that my art is calling me. I really feel a need to create. I saw someone make coffee-stained pages for their journal. And I said, I want to try making coffee-stained pages for my journal. So I took my leftover morning coffee, what was left in the French press, and some copy paper, and I decided to make some coffee-stained paper. It just was an experiment. You can also make tea-stained paper too. And you dry it in the oven. And what on earth would I do with that? Well, I decided to try making a little booklet. I think this would be great for tracking my progress for this year with this sacred living community and the ideas that I hope to come up with and the rituals that I want to create for myself. So this might be something you want to consider doing. Of course, you could use a regular notebook or a journal or just paper or a 3-ring binder. I am going to do a tutorial on how to make this little book. I used a brown paper bag, and this was a printable download that was sent to me from another site that talks a little bit about the Wheel of the Year. But then on the other pages, these are my coffee-stained pages. I wanted it to have that ancient text feeling, something that I'm going to pass on to my progeny or that might be found. There's always a book. So I wanted it to look sort of distressed and ancient, like parchment. I got these rubber stamps with letters and this stamp pad that has 4 colors. I used the espresso color to stamp the name of each of these nature-based holidays that fall according to this wheel of seasons. And I'm just going to use it to record what I did and maybe what worked, what didn't work, what some of my observations are. I printed off a few pictures and we'll see. It's just my little Wheel of the Year journal. And as you can see here, the pages have lots of variety to them and markings on them, which is what I wanted. I wanted that more rustic and distressed look, like I said, of an ancient text. So anyway, these are just some of the ways that I am exploring making my own rituals for feeling connected to the earth, the land, the seasons, and spirit. I hope that you like this video. Check us out on Patreon. I will see you in the next one. And until then, take care.